Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Martians and aliens. We're not speciesists on this channel. Everybody's welcome. My name's Alan, and welcome to Mars, the second Genesis. Okay guys, this is the fourth part of the series from Sol 241. And we'll be continuing on from where we left off in the last video. This image here is part of a panorama that was captured by the Perseverance rover, and it was captured by the pair of mastcams. So guys, what I've done here is I've actually split this into two, and we'll be covering the bottom part first. I'll give you a wee pan through first, and then we'll zoom in a wee bit more and look at some individual pieces. Okay, let's zoom in. So you can see it's heavily obfuscated with all this texture that NASA's added. And here's our first sort of anomaly. I'll put it in the centre there. And that's certainly not a rock. It looks like bent metal, just a part of something. And this as well. And if you look at the back here, look at this white area, how it's shaped. Almost looks a bit like a bathtub. And we can see we've got, again, a triangular piece. And there's this strange looking bit here. Now you can see it's not a rock. It actually reminds me a bit of the tracks off an excavator. It reminds me a bit like that. I'm not saying it is, but you never know, it could be. And even this here at the front, if you look at that there, you know, you can see that's sculpted or some sort of, it reminds me of the bell housing of an engine, the gearbox part. So you've got to really zoom in to these to actually see that they're not rocks. And this bit here. And you can see that's not a rock. If you look at this part here. And let's take a wee look at the sand. You can see we've got something under the sand there. It looks as if it's vertical. And sand don't do that. And look, we've got something below the sand here. And we've got something triangular. So if you look there, it looks as if we've got something, it could be triangular at the back there. So it could be an apex of a roof. Okay, let's go up a bit. I mean, you can see all this is definitely not rocks. This is... You can see these are not rocks. You can tell just by the shape. I mean, look at that, it's like a Y piece. We've got this. And we Look at this piece here, it comes down and up and along. Now, that is not a rock. I don't know what it is, but it's not a rock. See, when you look at these pieces, you would think, yeah, they could be rocks. But when you look at it, what it's sitting on, and the shape of it, you know, that looks more like a block. And when you look at the front of that, could that be hieroglyphs? Could it just be a natural texture on a rock? I don't know. And these pieces here. Look at all these wee triangular things sticking out the sand. This is very interesting. This looks very Egyptian to me. You know the wee wiggly thing that looks like a worm in the Egyptian? You just look at that. That definitely looks like hieroglyphs to me. But again, that's just my opinion. And don't take that as gospel. And again, at the bottom here, we've got some sort of, looks like hieroglyphs. I'm trying to make the movements a lot less jerky, but it's quite hard in Stereo Photo Maker. It doesn't have any like automatic panning things like you do in maybe Premiere Pro. You can't animate things, so you've got to just click, hold and drag. That's how I'm going to be a bit kind of slow. I'm trying to make it less jerky, but it is what it is. Now, if you look at this here, that is definitely not a rock. You look at that piece there, we've got a right angle, and the piece at the back, that's something that some wee alien has lovingly put together. They've probably got a machine that stamps all this stuff out in seconds. And this here, if you look at the angle of that, see, I can't understand why people are not fascinated with this. I mean, this really gets me going. When I seen that rock with it looked like hieroglyphs, the hairs in the back of my neck stood on the end, and I felt goose pimples. You know? So I can't understand how people don't get excited at that, but that's maybe the designer in me. Look at this here. Yeah, we believe that's rocks, NASA. And look at that bit at the top there. I mean, could all this be structural beams? Could it be random bits of rock? Could it be an optical illusion? You know, you can actually see how they're in straight lines, how they join together. And when you look at that, and you look at it, you know, zooming in, you see it all in 3D, you see the individual bits. When you put the whole picture together, you know, in your mind, you can clearly, well, a sane person can clearly see that this is not natural. It's either structural, technological. You can't come to any other conclusion. It is what it is. Let's take two scenarios. First scenario is, this is complete garbage generated in a computer, and Mars is nothing like this. The next scenario is, this is what's on Mars, and it's been hidden in the image. I don't know which scenario is 100% correct. If there is, could be a mixture of both. This is what is hidden in these images. Below all that garbage they've put on it, that's what's there. Is that on Mars? Is that what's on Mars? I don't know. But I can guarantee it's in that image. And it's down to the individual whether they choose to believe what scenario is correct. I mean, I have entertained the thought that maybe all this is just garbage they put on top of what's there, and it's so butchered that there's nothing to see, and they've just put all this in to fool us all. The sheer volume of images and the correlation between the mastcam, the navcam, the hascam, and when you look at the different angles, the same things as in the image. They maybe have different obfuscation, but the same thing's there. And that's what's important. That's what you've got to say, well, if it's in that navcam image it was taken then, and that's a mastercam 50 days later looking at the same thing, and you're seeing the same major features, well, you could pretty much take it to the bank that that is there, it is in the image. You know, but that's my opinion. So that's the first part of the image, guys. Okay, I'll give you the customary pan through. Wait to see what's at the top of this image. Now at a distance, you may think, oh, that's just rocks, Alan. Nothing there but rocks. You're imagining things. Well, guys, wait till you see this. We'll start at the bottom, right, because that's where we left off. And we shall zoom in. Another triangle. There may be a wee tornado on Mars that goes round the Mars surface, and its sole purpose in life is to carve out these wee triangles and these wee sculptures. Because I'm damned if I know where they all come from. I would say this has been structures that's been hidden. NASA's raised the ground plane, they've put all this garbage in, and all that's left is the roof apex sticking up through the sand. Or it could be a wee tornado. It's doing its rounds, sculpting all these triangles. Some of these panoramas, the parts of the panoramas do overlap, so you might see something you've seen before. Now if you look at this piece here, there's a half hex there. I think I pointed that out once before on another bit of the panorama. There's another bit there. I mean, look at this here. They've just mapped sand texture to all this. But you can see what's originally been there. You can see the shape of it. You can't see the colour or the texture, but you can see it's still there. And this here. I'll leave the link in the description and you can download this image for the Google Drive and you can zoom in and look about to your heart's content. I'll also leave a link for Stereo Photo Maker. That's the program I'm using to be able to pan about and zoom in. So you can download that as well. It's all free. You know, it doesn't cost a bean, so. So you can see here, I mean, just need to look. We've got a triangle there, a triangle there. These are roofs. I mean, what else can it be? You know, you've got triangular points in the sand. I mean, like, if that was on Earth and you were in the Sahara Desert and came across that, you'd think the same thing. And here we are, we're looking inside this, whatever it is. Now, these wee white bits, I've come to the conclusion that these are bits of corroded metal, and the corrosion's through the metal. And what you're seeing is the light shining through. I think that's what it could be. But again, that's my opinion. We've got this here, which, whatever it is, it's got a symmetrical shape. I mean, just look at this one piece here. You can clearly see that's not a rock. And this here as well. Just look at all the triangular bits sticking out the sand. I believe that these are apexes of roofs. This as well. It's another wee triangle. I mean, I've probably said the word roofs more times while I've been doing this NASA stuff than I've ever said in my life, you know. I just look at it and there's a roof. That piece up there, don't know what it is, but it's not a rock. It looks as if it's got some sort of... Let's zoom in a wee bit. Let's have a wee look at this. Yeah, that looks like something technical. It's got either cables or piping coming out of it. It's maybe something, maybe this here, if this is a roof, maybe it's something like the Martian equivalent to an air conditioning thing. I mean, on our buildings are square, but, you know, Martians maybe prefer this sort of shape. Now, if you look at this, this could actually be a couple of windows in a structure. And if I zoom out, you can see the way that comes along. This piece looks as if it's folded over. Now, I'm going to zoom out here so we can examine the sand. And if you look at the shape, you can see, you know, these are structural. This piece here looks like a semicircle. I mean, if you look closely at this, you can see that whatever's below the sand, you know, these are not rocks. They're looks like a part of a structure. And you say, whoa, what's this? Let's have a look at this. This looks... That looks cool. Whatever that is. I mean, that just looks like shredded metal. That's a very cool find. Let's zoom out and see what's round about it. See, we've got these pieces here. Could be walls. And then we've got this coming off it. It may be a structural beam. Or just parts that are on the building. But when you look at the overall thing, you can see that's, you know, maybe metallic, and it's attached to these bits, and it could, all this could be part of the one thing. Definitely doesn't look natural. And if you look at this piece at the back, that looks like the front of a structure. See the way they put these sand ripples or sand dunes here? And they've whited this out, but the enhancement process has brought all this in. You can see they're actually just putting these sand dunes over the stuff that your eye would automatically go to. In the original image, you can't see this, it just looks like sand. It looks like structural beams here. This looks to me like these are structures here. If we look at this piece here, yeah, none but rocks, guys. And if we look at this piece here, and look at what it's attached to, we've got this, and these pieces here join onto this. So this is all one part of the one thing. I wouldn't be surprised if all this was all part of the one structure. Now these, I believe, are structures. See, there we go, we've got the roof apex. See all this here? All this sand? And I believe they've put that in. If you took all that sand away, this would be probably one entire structure. But with the sand put in between it, it just looks like rocks. You just need to zoom in, you can see it's not rocks. Let's zoom in here and have a wee look at this, because this is very interesting indeed. Look at that. I mean, that's structures, there's no way round about it. Anybody that says that's just a normal rock, look at it. I mean, you don't need to be an Einstein to work out, you know, that that's a structure with pipes or whatever sticking out. This here. Look at all this. Whoa, what is that? I think we found ourselves a sculpture. There's ears. Now, it's hard to tell whether that is actually joined. I think it is. We have, would imagine that's eyes and a nose. Now, could it be something structural that we just think it's a face? Yeah. And I believe this is a structure as well. And this piece at the back. This piece here looks very interesting. I'm going to zoom out to this. If you look at that, the way that comes along, it attaches to this. And we've got these two parallel lines. I believe these are walls. And it attaches to this structure-looking thingy. And that seems to come down. You can see in the sand that that's part of that. So I would say this part here is a structure. Not just the individual bits. And this piece here, I'm going to zoom in. I can see this being rocks. Maybe this is made out of metal, maybe concrete, maybe it's sculpted into a rock. Whatever it is, this is an intelligently made structure. What it's made of, I'm not 100%. Seeing as how this has the same texture that's on these as in the sand, I would say these are smooth because the texture in the sand isn't natural and it's been overlaid over the whole image. You can even see it in the sky there as well. So I would say this is metal. That's my opinion. Now if we look at this, we've got a tube or a pipe or something sticking out. It's cylindrical. Might be a gun. But we can see the corner of a building here. It's at right angles. And we've got another corner here. And all this. And we've got buildings at the back. Whoa, what is that? That looks like a dead spider on its back. It's obviously part of the structure here at the back. And this thing, whatever that is. I'll zoom in for you. We can see at the back and here, this is all structures. Wee mechanical looking thing there. Reminds me of an anvil. And all this here. I'll zoom out here and we can have a wee look at this at a distance. You look at that, I believe that's a structure below the ground. Now this was this piece, I think it was maybe part 2. I said it looked a bit like the steps on a main pyramid. Well, this is the bottom of it. This is a better look at it. I'll just zoom out and examine these bits. I think we've seen this bit before. But if you look at this area, look at the sand, that's obviously a wall. Here we can see a wee bit of wall there. There's so much in this one, guys. So I would recommend you to download this in Stereo Photo Maker and give it a good scrutinise. So that'll wrap it up for this one, guys. Thank you for watching and I'll catch you in the next video.